This is Martha Ambrose. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the director of Cal-ISBOA, and the two associations have been working very closely on the survey for a number of years, and both of us have moved over to this new platform this year, so you can ask us questions about the platform, and we'll answer that. Aggie's just joined the call, so she'll be able to answer things that may be specific to SurveyQandASeptember. I can answer some things that may be specific to Cal-ISBOA, and both of us can answer things about the platform. Most of the content for both associations is the same. So it's been a really great resource to work all together. And I guess what I'm going to start with is just a quick run through of just the basic resources on the platform. Andrea, can you see when people join the wait room?
I don't think so. Let's see. Oh, yes, I can. So I'll take over for that. I'll take over.
Okay. So anyway, so I'm just going to start with just a very quick and simple run through of some of the resources. Most of you, all of you should be able to see my screen, and I have a demo up of the general survey. And so some of the questions have been pretty basic, just in navigating the resources. So here is the place where you can download the list of questions. So first of all, you have the ability to give people access to the survey. If you,
hey, Martha.
Yeah?
It's Aggie. I'm so sorry. I was muted.
Oh, you were muted. Were you talking?
I was muted and I was talking. I'm so sorry. So a couple of folks have had trouble, honestly, I don't know how, getting past that first screen. And a couple of folks downloaded the spreadsheet thinking it was a spreadsheet again. So I just wanted to make it clear that we are not using a spreadsheet, that we are using a platform which allows you to enter your data right into the platform. There'll be no sending spreadsheets back and forth or anything like that.
That's right. The list of questions is for your planning purposes.
Yep.
And if you want, for instance, I just talked to somebody today and they did not want to just give one more person access just to enter the admissions information, so they were going to send their director of admission the spreadsheet. So let me show you what the spreadsheet looks like. And at the same time, this is just a reminder for those of you who have missed this information. You cannot directly give somebody access to the survey platform. You need to go through your respective association and request that they be given access to the platform. You can request access to both the general and the salary. You can request that someone have access to one but not the other. So that helps, particularly with the salary survey. If there are people that you do not want to have access to that salary survey, that can be controlled, but it's controlled at the association level. So you need to provide the person's name, title, and email, and just email your association, and that can be arranged very easily. So, however, you also can download this list of questions, and I'm just going to open it so you can see what it looks like. It's in Excel format, so if somebody wanted to fill it out and give it to you, they could, but it still is going to have to be entered into the platform. So you can see it's by section. These sections are consistent with the dashboard here. So you don't have to print out the whole thing, the whole 200 pages or whatever. It isn't 200 pages. It's very simple. So that is a way for you, if you just want to have a holistic view of what is in the what questions are there, you can take a look at that. There's also a user guide here. Same thing, you can open it. I suggest you do. It will answer basic questions about how to use the platform. The platform is quite intuitive, but you may just want to take a look at that. And then there's also a support tab up here in this corner. So again, it gives the worksheet, the user guide, goes through. There's a number of tools in here to help you, and it will talk about what the reports are going to look like. The reports are not available yet. You will not be able to see reports. So I'm going to go back to home, and there's a number of ways that you can navigate around the survey. Does anybody have any questions at this point about navigating throughout the survey? So for instance, if you go into school profile, you can go in and toggle in within school profile. You can toggle back and forth. However, if you've entered data on a page, you are going to want to save it and not just toggle back and forth, or you know. But once you hit save, it's saved. There, at the end of the survey, there's no submit button like there was. You're saving it, and unless you change it and save it again, it's saved, and you will find it when you sign back in. And it will, so you can see that there are red asterisks. Those are mandatory questions. You have to fill those questions out in order to get the survey results. If it doesn't apply to your school, there will be an NA, and that counts as having answered the question. I'm toggling because I just saved. So we can go through campus details. And so you can see there's a none here. If your school has none, just answer none. Now the other main difference is you can also get around this way. I'm going to go into details by grade. You'll see that you have a menu of what the grades are taught. You check off the grades that you have, and when you move through the questions, it's only going to show you the grades that you have. You will not be paging through questions for grades that you did not include in that initial part of the section. That is also going to be true for things like your faculty by years of experience. If you do not have a faculty that have between 1 and 5 years of experience, you'll check off the years of experience of faculty that you have, and it won't show you the other sections.
How are you accommodating colleges and universities, or are you?
That's an Aggie question. Aggie?
Hunt, is that you?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Let's talk offline, okay?
Okay.
Question so I know what the issue is.
It's how are we accommodating colleges and universities? So SurveyQandASeptember has a number of colleges and universities in membership.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so does anybody have any questions right now? You can, and this is this is an open.
Where do I find definitions of something if I needed a definition? The user guide looked very short and to the point.
What kind of definitions are you talking about?
It always comes up with salary. Okay, so my athletic director does 3 different things. Do I consider them an athletic director if they spend more than half their time as the athletic director? Or are they considered the PE teacher who does that on the, those kind of things?
So is that related to an FTE, or is that related to the salary? So you would count their FTEs in your FTE section of the general survey, but in the salary survey, I've just switched over to that. So in the salary survey, it would be, you would include the percentage of time that they are performing that position. If you're counting classroom teachers, so let me just finish with the salary part of that question. So you're including their FTEs. You're gonna have to go in and hang on. So for instance, if your lower school, so in this case, your lower school head makes an annual, this is actually wrong. So if more than one person, wait a second. I got to double check this, sorry. That's not correct. Anyway, I'm going to get back to that because that's not correct. So what you have to do is prorate the salary. So let's say your athletic director spends 50% of their time working as an athletic director. And they make, I'm just going to use the simplest calculation, and they make a total of $100,000. They do 2 positions. For the athletic director role in the administrative salary, you're going to put that they spend 50% of their time, and you're going to prorate the salary based on the percentage of time that they do that and enter that in, because it will then annualize the salary for that position. So it will show them, it will normalize it so that we can compare apples to apples. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, generally,
Right.
when I get into it, I'm sure I'll.
So, right. And you can ask questions about that. I got to go back and do that. So now I'm going to go back to the general survey.
A dumb question. I'm trying to follow your scroll. How did you toggle between the two?
That's just because I have 2 windows open in my.
Okay. I thought there might be a direct toggle between the two.
It's just for the purposes of this. I thought it would be easier. So, in the faculty section of faculty salaries, you're including, I want to make sure I do this right. So for instance, let's say your athletic director is also teaching.
Huh?
You're not going to include them in this section unless they are in the classroom a minimum of 51% of their time. So if somebody's in the classroom for 20%, you're not counting them in here.
So if I had a 30% FTE Italian teacher, I don't count them at all.
No.
Okay.
Now, it would be in FTEs, in the section of the FTEs, but
not in salary.
The salary.
Okay.
And that has not changed.
Okay.
Hi, Martha. Can I ask something related to this section? When you get to the last tab, the other salary details, it doesn't specify under overall faculty salaries if it says lead teachers only, but it doesn't say if they should be just full-time teachers only. Because of the previous section, it did say just full-time lead teachers. So am I also on this section like overall teachers?
Am I on the right tab?
Yes. Is that, so where it says overall faculty salaries, when I'm providing the averages and the median, am I including just full-time teachers like it was on the previous tab, or would I also include like part-time teachers where they're spending all of their time? You know, we have some people who they're spending all of their time teaching, they're lead teachers, but they are not full, like a full FTE. So I'm not counting them as a full teacher. I get into detail.
I mean, that really does, yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. I would assume it would be for full time, but David, I know David's on the phone. Does anybody else have a different answer to that? Because otherwise, it's going to pull the average down.
Yeah, Martha, this is Manuel. I only put the full-time teachers in there because
Okay.
Yeah, otherwise,
Because it's going to dilute the average.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
David, I agree as well.
I'm going to make a note of that, see if we can change the instruction.
Yeah, it says it in the previous tabs, but I sort of assumed it was the same, we were talking about the same group, but I just wanted to confirm.
Right, okay. I'm just going to,
If we have time, Martha, to add that note to that question, that would be great.
I'm making a note to add that.
Thank you.
Okay.
And then I had one other sort of general question about coaches. Are coaches sort of excluded from the survey, or where would we include coaches?
Coaches in what section? So
In any section, I guess, but like I didn't see any section where it specifically says to include coaches. I don't know if they're.
Yeah, I don't think, this is Manuel again, I don't think we have coaches in this survey because the positions are not homogeneous. Coaches vary a lot from high school to elementary school. They also vary in the length of the season, spring, winter, so forth. Then if they go to playoffs, they get paid more. If they don't make the playoffs, they get paid less. So it's very hard to make comparisons, I think. Not to say that we cannot try to make some kind of survey in the future, but it's not like a lead salary, classroom teacher that we compare apples to apples to.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to confirm. That's what I was sort of reading as I went through, that I think they're not in the mix. And I know it says that on the FT section, it's not going to be inclusive of.
Right.
To confirm.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's probably the main thing it's really not inclusive of, although it doesn't even attempt to kind of match up. So,
Okay, cool.
Anybody else? So is there anybody that has noticed any main differences that they think that they would like to share? I mean, or have any platform questions? You can see that it tracks your progress.
Martha, would you like to mention about the functional expense allocations, management, and the three different categories: fundraising, management, and program? There were some questions the last time.
There were. This does not apply to Cal-ISBOA, just so everybody knows. You don't have this section. So this does not apply to PAYSBOA. It's totally a Cal-ISBOA question. So in the operating budget section for Cal-ISBOA, there is a section on expenses. This section has changed a number of times over the past years. And so you'll see that we've changed it again. And we've changed it in an attempt to make it so that it is consistent over the years and across schools. So we've tied it to something that you're already doing. There's been a little confusion over this. You'll see that we reference the 990 form. It is, we know that you do not have a final 990 for this past year. But what we're looking for is to be consistent with that format. And David and Manuel can certainly probably speak to this better than I can. It's broken out consistent with the statement of functional expenses. So it's looking at it, those columns: program management and fundraising. And that's how it's keeping track of the allocation of the expenses. How am I doing so far, you guys?
Right.
That's
So
good, Martha. Go ahead, Manuel.
yeah, so we're trying to match the exact format that goes eventually into the 990 form, both vertically and horizontally for the categories. And even though we're not filing our 990s yet for the 2018-19 school year, we are asking for the information that you might have already prepared for your auditors for the year ending June 2019. So even though you haven't transposed the numbers yet into the 990, we hope that you have the information internally prepared already that you had supplied to your auditors for the last year's audit.
Or that at least if you don't have it quite yet, it's going to be something that you're going to have to do anyway. So, you know, what we wanted to stay away from was putting it in a format that you're not going to use for anything else. And that will also make it easier. So that was one section that we could not upload history. So if you wanted to, so this is another thing. You'll note that there are 2 years. For Cal-ISBOA, it's 2 years. I think for PASBO, it's 4 years. Eventually, we'll get to 4 years too, of history loaded into your survey already. Hang on. I'm going to go back to that. You can actually update that. So when you have a chance, you can go, there's nothing in this, there's no history loaded in this already, so I can't show you, but you can make changes to it. So for instance, if you wanted to, you could just take your 990 from previous years and add that pretty easily into those expense categories. And then if you wanted to do any kind of trend analysis across the years, you could do it. So you can make changes in your history. You will be able to make changes in this year. So let's say at the end of November, there's a material change to your expenses. You can go in and make that change in the platform and it will update immediately.
Now, one question, Martha. You pulled there 3 fiscal years. The data that we're asking to enter right now by October 7th, I think it is, it's for the middle year, correct? The year 2018-19.
Well, this is, I know, it's not, this is the year now that you are entering.
Okay. But it's with the data for last year.
Yeah.
I mean, some of it, I should say. Some data is for last year, like the expenses, for example.
We probably should really, it's really the survey year, I guess.
What did she send?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the survey year, and I'm actually going to see if we can change that. So that does not say fiscal year.
Okay. Listen to a webinar here. Okay.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention is that since the survey requires that we fill out at least 75% of all questions, if we do not answer the functional expense allocation categories, program management and fundraising, that section has a lot of questions in it, a lot of fields to fill out.
It's also mandatory.
Right. Yeah, they are all mandatory anyway. So in order to meet the threshold of 75%, we need to answer most of the questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Martha, this is Angela at Sage Hill School. So I just want to be clear. Who can enter information? Can only one person log in and enter information?
No. You can give us permission. What you're going to need to do, Angela, is let Andrea know who at your school has permission to access the survey, because it's accessed through the Cal-ISBOA website or through the PASBOA website. So it's the association that assigns permission, but the school has to tell us who has permission. So if you want somebody to have access to the general survey, but not to the salary survey, then you need to let us know who has permission for what survey, and we'll assign it. And they'll sign, you sign into your association's website and follow those instructions, and they will have links to just, it's a single sign-on straight through the website. But we have to do the work in the back to make sure that that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And we don't know who at your school has permission to see salary information.
Hi, this is Gail Crane, and I am with a pre-K and kindergarten school. And with the exception of the head of school and the assistant head of school, who's also the kindergarten teacher, they are the only 2 full-time employees. And we offer very minimal benefits. We're working on that. So just from the perspective of being able to complete 75% of the questions, I mean, I'm in a pickle here because we want to participate. There's some information we want, but with regard to the salaries and the full-time equivalents and benefits,
That's a good question. So when you select the, okay, so let's go back into the salary survey. Are you SurveyQandASeptember or Cal-ISBOA?
SurveyQandASeptember.
Okay, so the general thing is the same for both. So when your 75% is only is calculated by what positions you actually have.
Okay.
So NA is your friend, or when you indicate, you know, what grade levels you have. It's only going to calculate your percentage based on what you could possibly complete.
Okay.
And beyond that, if there's a problem, I would suggest contacting SurveyQandASeptember and they can help you. But that's a really good question, because so for instance, if you have let's say you were a K-6 school, it's not based on the overall universe of what grades you could possibly have. Your percentages, you're supposed to complete 100% of the information for the grade levels you do have. And that calculates it. And it would be the same thing for faculty salaries for years of experience.
Martha?
Yes.
Both of our associations have tiny schools.
Right.
So I think that
Hello?
We lost her.
I think this has really helped us be able to include more of the smaller schools in the process, because it doesn't matter how many positions you have as long as you're filling out the information for the positions that you have.
That's right. So that's right.
So it doesn't look odd to just put down one full-time teacher. I mean, like what's going on behind the scenes is quite different, because there's all these different variations of teachers doing things, but it's not a full-day program. So,
but there will be other schools that have the same challenges that you have, Gail. So we'll know that by looking, like when we see only one full-time teacher, that might look like an outlier until we look at the school, and then we'll say, oh, that's Gail's school. We know that she only has one full-time teacher.
Okay.
Right. And I had a school, for instance, that everyone is paid the same salary. And so that, you know, we just had to talk it through, because then I know when I look at it, they will show up as an outlier on some of their salaries, and I will understand why that is. Or there was one school that I looked at that had an extremely low tuition, and I was more concerned that it was a typo, and I went on their website, and it is an extremely low tuition. So That's why we're independent. Everyone's different. But if there's really something that because of the structure of the survey, you feel like you can't answer, just email the survey help at whatever, which for us it's surveyhelp@isboa.org. And I believe it's surveyhelp@paysboa.org for Paysboa.
That's correct.
Just email and we will answer it. We will figure out how we can best gather the information from your school.
Remind me, are both surveys, the general and the salary, due the same day?
Yes, October 7th.
Thank you.
What if you only complete, let's just say you can complete or don't complete the salary, but you complete the general survey? Or do you have to complete both to get any information?
You have to complete the general survey and the salary survey to get the salary survey information.
Okay.
If you complete the general survey and you don't complete the salary survey, you'll get the general survey results.
Okay.
And here's what I encourage people to do. If you are having a problem, do not wait until the last minute to reach out to us. We are here to help and we're here to problem solve. So let us know if you're having a problem before October 7th, if possible.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you all for your hard work on this.
We hope that you're enjoying the new platform. And one thing that I tell everybody is, you know what, just kind of scroll around through it and look at it. You can't break it. You're not going to break it. So, take a little time and look at the navigation and all of that. And you can sign in and sign out. This sign in is going to be, you are also going to access your results on this platform. And we will have a series of calls when the results are ready so that you can see what you can do. So you're going to have the ability, your peer groups, you're going to have the ability to go into the survey and do filters. The filters are going to be more powerful and you're going to be able to use multiple filters at once. So really start to get used to this platform because this is where you're going to come. And next year, when you fill out the survey, you will also, and you do to some degree have that, but there's limited number of historical results in there. But next year, for instance, you're going to have the ability to copy last year's answers over and change what needs to be changed. So that's particularly helpful in something like the vendor section. Next year, you can come in, you can copy the vendor section over into next year's survey, and then just change the vendors that have changed. So just play around with it a little bit, and I know it's really hard to have fun with it because you're slammed with surveys at this time of year, but it is really very user friendly, and this is your platform. And next year's results you're going to find in here when you sign in next year to do that survey. You'll have your results all in one place.
So Martha, we were thinking that we might want to schedule another webinar next week just to catch people who left it till the last minute. And so we'll be sending out some more information about a time that we're going to get together next week. If anybody has further questions or you get to another part of the survey and need some more help.
That's good. You can coordinate that with Andrea if you would.
Yep, we will.
I'd like to say thank you guys for all your hard work. I just got started on it and the platform seems a lot more intuitive, clear, so on and so forth. So good, great work, guys.
I agree.
Thanks.
Great.
We're just so glad it's easier for you.
Yes, we are. And, you know, and again, a lot of work went into this and looking at the questions and trying to improve them and make them more clear. But we do know that there might be some things. So, you know, if something doesn't seem right to you, if you have a question, just reach out to us.
Okay.
Martha, this is Andrea. I'm wondering if you think maybe we should go over, just slightly touch some of the questions that come up, because it tends to be the same questions that people are asking over and over, like paid time off. And I wonder if you think it could be worth time just to kind of briefly touch on some of those things again.
Sure. I'm going to go into the salary survey. Okay, so you will notice that in the salary survey, which is where I am now. Let's go. Okay, you have 3 sections now instead of 2. So there's executive leadership, administration, and staff. So one of the main differences is we've created an executive leadership section. And those are the only questions that those are the only positions for which you're going to get questions on additional compensation, housing benefit, car benefit, those types of benefits. That you're not going to page through. Each position is not being asked for that. Only these positions will. And you're actually going to be asked for a value of the housing benefit, the car benefit, the deferred compensation, etc. So that when you'll be able to actually have a value for total compensation. Then there is a paid time off section for this class of employee. And this is number of days, okay? And then it asks for paid holidays, so you can see what this is. So then when you go to the administration section, you'll check the positions off at your school. And again, you're only going to be held accountable for completing 75%, well, to complete all the positions that you have, but it's only looked at based on the positions that you have. So each of those positions, you're asked 2 things: the base salary and the percentage of time worked in that. This is not correct, by the way. So this is not correct. This instruction is not correct, and I'm going to have them change it. So the annual base salary in this case is, if they make a total of $100,000 and it is divided between 2 positions, you would add, it's divided evenly between 2 positions, you would put $50,000 allocated to that position. And they can't possibly work 14 months. So you can see that the system is alerting you to the fact that that's incorrect. And then when you hit save, it's going to annualize that base salary as if they were working 100% of their time in that position. And then in the other position, you would do the same thing. So then at the end of the admin category, you're only asked once for this class of employee, paid time off. And what it's asking you is how many weeks, how long is it, wait.
The division is that the
change.
P-O-L-E-R-O is my right here.
What? So this is asking you how many months an employee must work in order to be eligible for the for the indicated paid time off allotment. It's not asking what the paid time off allotment is. It's how many weeks, months must you work. So if it's years, you have to convert it into months. So if you have to work 3 years or something before you get 3 weeks off, just put it in months. So it's not asked for each position as it was in the past. It's asked, and then there will be a section on that in the staff compensation section as well. So if you have 30 positions in admin, you're answering that paid time off only once, not 30 times. Any questions about that?
Yeah, Martha, this is Manuel. The distinction here between paid time off between vacation and sick time is that vacation or personal days, which are legally the same, they must be paid out in full to the employee if the employee departs the school at the end of the assignment. So whatever is being accrued, the employee can never lose, has to be paid out. Whereas sick time legally does not need to be paid out. Some schools might have a payout policy to cash out sick days, but you're not obligated to do it. So in HR, they are treated differently, and that's why we followed our HR's advice, and we separated the two.
For us, this is Lisa Schulte. On staff, it's going to be a combination. We have different PTO for exempt versus non-exempt. So I am assuming I just pick, like, for instance, for the admin staff, they're exempt. So they would have one type of thing, and then for the staff, even though it's both, I just put what I do for the non-exempt. Just pick one of them.
Yeah, that's a good question. Perhaps what the weighted average is, I guess, if you will, what most people do, or some kind of average.
Lisa, can you do me a favor and just send me an email on that, because I'm going to save that to review next year.
Okay.
Yeah, I have the same question, so there may be more of us out there.
Well, that's why I think that next year we may, again, we may want to look at that for next year. But in the meantime, I think Manuel's probably right if you can do that.
Okay, I'll send you an email, Martha.
Okay. See, these are the exact type of things that happen when we change something. We're moving in the right direction, but sometimes we have to reevaluate. Anybody else?
Definitely a learning thing.
We're trying to keep up with everybody. Trying to keep up with California too.
So this is Angela. I will email on Andrea, but I just can't even seem to access the actual survey. So.
Angela, I think it's the X on the bottom. It happened to me too, and I was getting frustrated. So when you get that one screen, there's an X on the very bottom right. Click on that and see if that does it for you.
Bottom right. So
the little box that comes up on the data entry.
Are you talking about the disclaimer?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm past the disclaimer, and then the next screen shows me, welcome Angela Oliver, about the survey.
Right, so there's a box there. At the bottom right-hand corner of that box, there's an X.
Oh, okay.
Now, Angela, I worked for at least an hour trying to figure that one out, and I couldn't figure it out.
Martha, I think we should put that out, because I'm like going, what am I missing here?
I felt like a fool. So that's why I didn't bring it up here yet, because everybody seemed to be part of it. So
I don't think there's a stupid question, but thank you very much. Like, okay, got it. Thank you.
No, okay. Angela, this is Andrea. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I've received this question numerous times, and I think it's true. People are maybe just a little embarrassed to say it publicly, but I'm so glad you did, because I understand it's, you know, if you're not comfortable or familiar, you don't know there's a little X there. So I'm so glad you brought that up.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to start.
Okay, so go ahead and start.
All right, it's going to be a long
Okay,
week
great.
next week.
Okay,
Thank
sounds
you.
good.
Thank
Anybody
you.
else, anything else now before we close
No.
out?
So Martha, if we have questions, do you guys want us to send it to the survey, you know, at Cal, or you and Andrea?
Yes.
Do it to the,
Send it, because that will get to both of us, and so
okay,
that maximizes your chances of getting an answer fast.
got it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.